Welcome to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is to help you create environments and ecosystems where people thrive. Today's conversation is, I'm very excited because the woman that we're going to be talking to today is so special in the way that we would want our children, our students, and our young scholars to be when they grow up. This woman is going to talk to us about how she's leveraged her story, perseverance, and her own abilities to be an entrepreneur, to transform, educate, and ultimately empower the next generation of young women in Kansas City. Myreesha, how are you doing?
Good. How are you today?
Look, I am amazing. We are always joking behind camera, so look, don't be all
I,
corporate on me now.
I mean, I didn't know if I needed to behave or what the vibe was. I can go either way.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Look, before we get started, I want to say that I'm really proud of who you are, what you've created, what you're continuing to do, your commitment to learning, your commitment to growth, and your commitment to ensuring that the next generation of future leaders of this country, of our world, have the tools, have the resources, and have the integrity to be able to go out there and really compete. But before we get started, like before we get into all the questions that I'm going to ask, can
Okay.
I just learn about what's the story that inspired the work that you're doing today?
You want to know about me? Oh, thanks for asking. So basically, so glad you asked. No, but seriously, I mean, oh my gosh, it goes all the way back. So the quick story is I am a cosmetologist by trade, and I've been doing hair behind the chair for 15 years. I'm currently not doing that anymore, but I had this burning desire to mentor, and I knew I didn't have time. And I told you about this before on the last time we spoke. I didn't have time, and I just felt like I was losing time each day that went by. Like, I know it's just like, you know how you have this feeling that you're supposed to be doing something and you really can't shake it. And the more time that passes, you you feel it more and more and more. And so I had that desire to mentor the youth. And I knew that was something that God was calling me to do, but I didn't have time. I was gonna keep it real. I was working, had my family, all of the things. I'm like, I don't know how you want me to do this, Lord. So anywho, but if we go all the way back, I've been like an entrepreneur since birth. I mean, I don't know about birth, but definitely a young age. I remember being in the sixth grade. I was legit the candy girl. Like, when I say candy coming out of my locker, people would come to my locker and Laffy Taffies. Or, I mean, my mom would take me to Sam's Club and Costco and all the things. I would add up my profit and see how much I would charge, all of the things. So I've been an
I feel
entrepreneur.
like I want to pause for a second. I feel like those were the days where school was school because I
Yeah.
remember I remember I used to be the cake man. Like I used to make cakes and
You
like
make cakes?
literally I used to make
No
cakes,
way.
strawberry cakes and the lemon cakes. Me and my mom used to do them. And we used to go to school and
Really?
sell slice for $1. I swear it's crazy. And we
Oh,
did it for the whole year. And then teachers started to say you can't sell food in the school. And then
yeah.
I would get in trouble for these things. I feel like those were the days where school was school. Keep going, my bad.
No, you're absolutely right, because my daughter, they tried to, and my niece, they had tried to have a little hustle selling chips and different things like that, and they were definitely shut down. So I do agree, but I may need you and Mama to make a cake. I might need to taste. Are y'all still in the cake business?
I got you. I got
Okay.
you.
All right. All right. So, anywho, I was doing that, and but as I continued to evolve, I always had some type of um I don't want to call it hustle, because I feel like it's more than that. Even I remember my very first job, I reached out to the church that was down the street from me. I probably was maybe 10 at this time. I wasn't even in middle school. I had to been in elementary school. And we went to that church at the time, and I asked them if I could work there. And they let me come for 2 hours a day, and they paid me $1. They paid me $1 paid me $1. And so I would get a $10 check at the end of the week and I was happy. You know what I mean? So I've always kind of been that type of person to find a way and make a way. But as I got older, I began to see people around me and I would hear people talk like they couldn't find jobs and just how they were struggling and had hard times. And I just remember by this point, I may have been middle school, high school, and I was like, Mom, can we open up a McDonald's? And she's like, what? I might have still been middle school. I don't know how old I was. I was like, can we open up a McDonald's? And she's like, okay, why? You know, and I'm like, because so many people don't have jobs, we could give them a job. And so that was my thinking. So I've always kind of been entrepreneurial mindset along with like the desire to help, the desire to kind of provide opportunities for people to just be their best self, you know? That's my goal. If you're around me, I want you to be your best.
I want you to expand on that point a little bit. Like, where
Yeah.
do you believe that perspective of I had this desire for people to be their best selves. I had this desire to identify gaps. I had this desire for me to be able to solve problems. I had this desire when I looked and I wanted to open up a McDonald's so that we can be able to create jobs for other people. You had this knack for seeing issues, but then also a desire to create the solution at the same time. Where did that come from?
That's so good. I think about that all the time. I am definitely solution based, you know. Um I don't know where that came from. I would have to think about that, but I know that that's always how I've been. It's just I'm not a person that really likes pity. I don't really like to complain, and I definitely don't like to feel like a victim. That's something that, you know, me and the Lord have worked on over the years because there is a level of accepting your humanity and vulnerability. So that can, you know, but there is a part of me that doesn't like that mentality. So instead of going to woe is me, it's always a what can we do to fix it? Because I believe that everything can be fixed, especially if you believe in God. You know what I mean? Like both and, right? Both and.
No, I agree. I agree. And can you talk to somebody that is listening in right now, whether to the live or to the recording, why having a belief that's bigger than yourself, having something that is continuing to ground you, having something that is keeping you hopeful is important?
Oh my goodness. It reminds me of during the Holocaust, I believe they had some of the workers, um, they would make them move huge stones from one side to the other side. And they would just have them continue to bring them from one side to the other side, literally with no purpose. And eventually people died because they had no hope. They had no reason to live. And that's literally why we were created. We were created with a purpose in mind. So when we lose hope, which is always, it's always to our detriment, losing hope no matter what it is for, whether that is for a relationship, whether that is for your job, if that's for a better life for your children. You know, sometimes we just get in this hole and we have seen the past dictate our future, and that is not necessarily the case. And so for me, my wholeness and my hope comes from the Lord, you know, because there are a lot of situations in my life that could seem hopeless, but they're not. They're not, because I know that my vulnerability, my humanity has limits, but then I have something that's even greater than me that I know surpasses anything that I could ever provide. And I choose to trust in that.
You know, what I recognize is that when we're continuing to be led, when we're continuing to be pushed forward, there's
Hmm.
a lot of moments in our lives that have us sometimes question our faith.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times in our lives where what I call them on the Contagious Culture podcast is those slingshot moments, those things that
Mhm.
pull us back either personally or professionally,
That's good.
where it's we have to go through essentially this unpacking and this grieving process so that we can move towards a growth season. What
Yeah.
was that moment for you, Myreesha, where something pulled you back, something pulled you under the carpet, but it's continued to propel you to be not just the professional that you are, but the woman that you are?
Okay. Oh wow, Kyle. We're getting deep, huh? Okay. Okay. So a slingshot moment that pulled me back. Um, there's a lot of disappointment in life that comes and that will try to pull you back. That could be a unsuccessful relationship. It could be a disappointment in a hope that you had. It just was your own hope that you had that did not happen. And it pulls you back into a space. It can be someone's thought or opinion of you that you thought highly of. You know what I mean? And it's just like to find out that they really believe a certain way in business, since this is a business podcast. In business, it could be a loss. Taking a huge risk, pushing for this program, and then only being able to serve so many people, or applying for a grant and not getting the grants, not getting the funding to continue to provide services. It's so many things that I've experienced to be slingshot moments that I understand are really just a moment in time. It's only a moment in my story.
When you think about your story, though, when you think about that unsuccessful relationship, when you think about potentially that person that had an opinion of you that wasn't indicative of who you wanted to be, when you think about those laws or those grants that you didn't receive, what moment sticks
Yeah.
out to you the most? And the reason why I asked that question is that I truly believe that relationships are our highest form of currency. But
Mm,
oftentimes, relationships are our highest form of liability as well. But it's
mm,
oftentimes when we recognize either the liability or the value in our relationships, they can push us towards destiny or put us in a place or in a pit of destruction. So,
mm.
what was a relationship that either greatly worked out that propelled your business or even your life forward? Or even a relationship that didn't work out, a partnership or in any realm that has taught you a lot that you would have been able to pour that into the girls that you work with?
Mm. So there was a point in time where I was in a long-term relationship, and I didn't see it end in the way that it ended. And a lot of times, what for me, what it does as far as telling the girls is just for me, as I look back and we reflect. We always reflect after the fact, right? After you look back and reflect, I realized that I did not have a true identity of self. I really didn't value myself the way that I needed to value myself. And when you value yourself less than what it should, you begin to see other people through lenses that are not correct. And then you begin to put them in places that are incorrect. So I don't know if I'm making sense. Are you following me, or do I need to like be a little bit more specific?
No, I'm definitely following you. And just for the audience that is listening in, what I hear is that oftentimes we're in relationships, whether it's long term or short term, and
Mm-hmm.
we assume an identity in that relationship. And oftentimes that identity leads to us not knowing, not recognizing, and forgetting the value that we hold in spaces. So, what I heard is that you're educating, exposing, and helping the young ladies that you work with never lose that value, but being firm in their identity, being firm in who they were meant to be, no matter the circumstance, relationship, or the barriers that they're continuously met with.
You good. Yes.
I
Yes. You good. Yes, that's exactly it. But and even not only losing it, but identifying it from the beginning. Because I think a lot of times, due to certain situations, you don't even have a correct view from the
did.
beginning, whether that be the home situation or a lack of a parent, whether that be people that have spoken negative in your life and you have now put on their lenses and their view, not yourself correctly. I mean, there are a lot of reasons why people don't see it. So not only is my goal to help them hold that identity, the goal is to help them find the identity, to even see it correctly through clear lenses from the very start, you know?
And, and the cool thing that I know that you're doing, because I've seen it in practice, is that you're running a nonprofit organization for the love of self. And
Mm-hmm.
the most beautiful thing is that you've broken down four major components that are transforming the lives of young women. And to date, you've worked with
Yeah.
over 300 girls in Kansas City, school districts, different schools. And it's pretty neat. And those four key components, based upon what I have here, and correct me if I'm wrong, are self-care, entrepreneurship,
Mm-hmm.
life skills, as well as financial literacy. Can you
Yeah.
walk us through why you chose those four components and why are those the most important in your opinion?
Absolutely. So, first of all, I believe that identity piece and that value piece comes under self care because you cannot truly care for yourself unless you value yourself, right? And caring for yourself looks so many different ways. It's taking care of the whole person. And although at For the Love of Self, what we do is we go into schools and we provide programming for students, teaching them cosmetology, entrepreneurship, and social emotional learning, because that is just a soft skill that you need for anything that you do in life. That's what we do. But the reason why we do it is so that we are able to imprint on the students, one, who they are, and help them avoid pitfalls that we all have seen so many fall into. Now, going back to self care, first, helping them establish value. That comes through, of course, learning a skill, you begin to value yourself. Having a new growth mindset, you begin to value yourself. Um, and once you value yourself, you can take care of yourself. You take care of yourself by your relationships, who you connect to, by what you do for yourself spiritually, what you do for yourself physically, all of the things, and continue to educate your mind, all of the things. So then we have entrepreneurship. Like I said, I am an entrepreneur by nature. I have literally only had 2 jobs in my life, and I get bored with them probably like after about a month. And I'm like, yeah, it's time for me to go. So entrepreneurship, everybody is not meant to be an entrepreneur, but what I say is everybody can be an entrepreneur. And the reason I say that is if you're called to be a teacher, if you're called to be a doctor, do that, be that. However, it's still good to have something on your own that you can pursue and build and leave for your children, or whoever you want to leave it to. If you don't have children, you can leave something behind and also provide a lifestyle that maybe only that your job would not provide. So entrepreneurship is key. um, Life skills. Listen, if I always say, if you have a skill, you'll never go broke, right? If you have a skill, you'll never go broke. No matter if I decide to go back behind the chair or not, if something ever happens, I will always be able to make money. Always be able to provide a living for myself and my family. Now that is a skill, but also just life skills. And so a life skill can be something that you turn into a way of making money. So there's so many different life skills. So life skills are important. And then financial literacy. Listen, as we're talking about entrepreneurship and all of the things, you have to be able to know how to manage your money, right? We all need to know how to manage our money. We need to know about taxes. We need to know about 401ks. We need to know about investment. We need to know just how to do a simple budget. So, financial literacy is key, no matter if you're an entrepreneur or not.
I want to just highlight one thing that you said that I
Yeah.
believe is so powerful, and I believe is that everybody maybe isn't an entrepreneur, but they have the ability or they can be an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
Why do you believe that? And I guess before you answer that question, I'd love for you to first define what you believe entrepreneurship is and why that's so important.
Absolutely. So, entrepreneurship in its truest form is operating a business that you don't have to be in to make money. That's a true entrepreneur. So you have self-employed, someone that does a service or they have a product in exchange. They exchange their time for money. That's what self-employed is. A cosmetologist, hairstylist would be self-employed. A small business owner would be someone that has a business and they have people working there. So they'll be able to go to Jamaica maybe for a week or two. Business can thrive, but they would never be able to just step completely away and the business survive. we think of a baker or a catering company or something like that, maybe. Um, Entrepreneur, I think of Chick-fil-A. The owner of Chick-fil-A, I would just even say the person that's over the franchise of Chick-fil-A, I have no clue what that person is doing. You know what I mean? And Chick-fil-A is running. And not only is it running, there are multiple businesses of Chick-fil-A that are running. So that's a true entrepreneur. But when I think of entrepreneurship in the way of anybody can be an entrepreneur, basically what I'm saying is anybody can be self-employed. Anybody that has a skill or has something that they can do and share with the world. I have a friend, she picked up knitting and she is like cold. She's so good now. She makes sweaters, hats, and all that. I mean, she started it just as a hobby and she loves what she does. She would not consider herself an entrepreneur, but people have started asking her, like, can I have, so that's something that she holds dear, that she has a skill that she can now use to make money and provide for her family. I have another friend, she just started baking. She got into baking, started making pound cakes, she started making cookies, and then she started letting people taste it. And she would have never considered herself an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? And now she's selling her cakes and she's selling her cookies and she's providing. I have another, so just like that, we all have something. We all have something to give. And it's our choice if we choose to monetize it, basically.
Again, I agree. I agree 100%. I was, first started with selling cakes, and then we would wash people's cars, and then we were
Okay.
raking people's grass or leaves. And
Uh-huh.
I always tried to identify a gap. Like, what is
Yeah.
something that needs to be done that somebody doesn't need to do, and I will do that thing. Whether
Mm.
it's paint your walls in your house or go pick up food before Uber Eats and all these different things. And I think in a
Yes.
nutshell, how I would define entrepreneurship is somebody that has the ability to turn problems into solutions and make money off of it.
That's good.
Like, in a nutshell, like whatever that thing is, like there's
Yeah.
somebody out there. Like, I was at the hospital the other day,
Mhm.
and there was this woman in there knitting, and I'm just like that couldn't be me, but I would love to buy a blanket, like that's that's just not my story.
Yes.
um and
Yes.
for our audience members, what is a problem that you naturally solve, and who would benefit from you solving that problem, and what is the value that they would put on that specific solution being created for them? But back to you, Myreesha. You said something earlier about life skills, and I want to just highlight, I put a circle around it. I know we were on the podcast-a-thon talking this past week, and you shared interest in you exposing your young ladies in your programs to artificial intelligence and to cutting edge technologies and skill sets that will help them be globally competitive leaders wherever they go. Can you talk about what types of skills your young ladies are learning in your programs that they will be able to keep with them for the rest of their lives?
Absolutely. Yeah. So one is just a skill of cosmetology. So whether that's braiding, learning the skill to style hair. And I tell them all the time, you're not limited to this, although it's a good career if you only did cosmetology. But if and when you do decide to go to college, you can be the dorm hairstylist. You know what I mean? And you have an opportunity to make money doing those skills. So that is the skill that I would say they learn to make money. The other skills that are intangible are just um, it would be the social emotional. We go over scenarios. I let them talk. We have something called shop talk, and I let them talk as we're going over the skills, and I let them be themselves. If I let them say a cuss word or two here, because I want them to feel comfortable. I want them to feel comfortable talking, because if they feel corrected, they're going to straighten up, because my goal is to infiltrate their world. And if they feel safe, they're going to start talking. And then once they're open, I'm able, or whoever the instructor is at the time, they are able to impart wisdom. They're able to walk them through the scenario time we were talking. I mean, it's the conversations that we have, and it's like ask questions. Okay, so if you do that, who's that more of an advantage? You know what I mean? And they think so. Asking thought provoking questions that just help shift their mindset from a destructive path to a positive path. So those are the intangible things, emotional intelligence, just learning how to regulate their own emotions as well as being aware of others' emotions and how to manage those type of situations. Because, you know, a soft word turns away wrath, right? But in this economy, in this social world climate, you know, everything is, it has nothing to do with being soft or I'm a match energy. You know, matching energy is not emotional intelligence because it's not going to do anything except for escalate the situation. So they learn a lot of different things. They learn also how to negotiate, how to think in a way to where it's not just now, but think futuristic. So there are so many skills and mindset shifts that happen during our programs.
You know, it reminds me of a conversation, many conversations, the environment, I guess, that I'm creating with my own 9-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm just asking him more critical questions. Like earlier today, we were on the way home, and I hate getting gas. Like that's probably the least thing that I like to do in my life. And we're driving down the highway. We're about to hit traffic, and it was about 2 miles to the exit. And I asked my son, I was like, you know, what do you think we should do? Do you think we should stop on the exit prior and just go grab some gas? Or do you think we should try to truck it to the house? And he was like, well, how much gas do we have? I was like, Carter, it just went on dot, dot, dot to empty. And then he was like, so what does that mean, Dad? And I was like, you know, it's a toss up. I don't really know. And then he was like, we should get gas. And I was like, why? And I was like, why? And he was like, well, you always talk about risk and reward. I don't
I
feel
love
like the reward of waiting another
mm,
2 miles is worth the risk of being on the side of the
mhm.
street. And I looked at him, I was like, I'm so proud of you. We're gonna get some gas.
Yes.
And it's important. It's important for us as not just parents, but as leaders,
Mhm.
as thought leaders, as teachers, as ministers, in the sense to be able to create environments in these safe
Yeah,
spaces for our
yeah,
children or these young women to be able to communicate their thoughts, communicate their experiences, but then
yeah,
also be able to have a guide like yourself to be able to
yeah,
push them forward to where they're supposed to go.
yeah,
My question though is, I'm not in Kansas City. I'm in
yes,
North Carolina. And there's a
yes,
lot
sir.
of people that are going to be hearing you. There's a lot of people that are interested in learning more about your organization and even getting their own children involved. What is
Mhm.
the path for them to be able to get their student to learn the skills and learn the various things that you all are doing as well?
That's a really good question. So, what we are currently working on launching here in December is a community, a virtual community that is a extension of the programming that we do in the schools. So, the virtual community will consist of, it will still be based around cosmetology, business, and life skills, but it gives a sense of camaraderie for the girls. It gives a sense of belonging. And not only that, we break it down to the skill set. And then there's a side where there's just life coaching, really. I mean, everything we do at For the Love of Self always comes back to the individual's life trajectory. That is the goal. That is why we do what we do. We are here to impact the lives of girls and set them up for success, not personally and financially, relationally, emotionally, as well as economically. You know, the skill set is the economic part, but it's so much more that comes in through just the environment. As we know, exposure and connection is the biggest thing that transforms us, right? And so that's what this virtual community does. And if you have students that you're interested in, that will be coming soon. If you,
Nah, I appreciate that, and I'd love for you towards, in a few minutes to share where people can find more information about your programming as well as the business as well. I want to go back for a second. You've experienced challenges in your life on every level,
Yeah.
but you still have shown up. You still have been committed to service. You've still been able to build something where you've impacted so many people. What keeps you driven? Like, what keeps you motivated to continue to do this work when you could do something else and make 10 times the money that you're making now?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. For me, it's I am so afraid of like dying with full potential. That scares me. I'm just I am so afraid of dying knowing that my hands had so much more to do. So for me, setback is a part of life. And I think once we as adults recognize that that is a part of life, we can continue to keep moving. It's coming. It's going to come. Rain is going to come. There is a scripture that says it rains on the just and the unjust. So it doesn't matter how well you live your life. Listen, stuff go happen, and we have to keep moving. But at the end of the day, for me, when I meet my maker, I don't want to sit there and be like, oh well, this happened, so I just didn't have it in me. And it's like, well, I gave you this, I gave you that, I gave you all of these things, and you did nothing with it. That scares me more than anything. I don't want to leave this earth knowing my potential was untapped, unmet, unseized.
What's your message, Myreesha, to those that are just going to work, that
Mm.
are sitting on ideas, that
Ooh.
know that they have the resources to give more, but don't. Know that they have the talent to donate, but don't. Know that they have the time to be able to contribute to something else, but don't. Know that they have years of experience to be able to contribute to an organization or to a nonprofit, but don't. What's your message to those people?
So there are a couple things that I think when you say that. One is just the idea of seed and harvest, right? Like the things that you give, you get back. So if you plant a pumpkin seed, a pumpkin will grow, right? That's the idea first of just giving. And it's just, there's just a principle in the world, no matter what you believe, this principle is true. You give and you receive. So that's the first thing. So if that motivates you just by being able to receive, just know that if you just take that step out and start giving, you're going to get back. You will never be in a deficit because it's just a principle of the world we live in. As long as you're giving, you will never be left without. Second is the idea that have you ever been hurting and wish that someone was there to help you? And sometimes for some people that are religious, they may blame a higher power, they may blame God, but the truth is, no, your auntie was sitting there and she decided not to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it was. The Lord, everything was in place. No, what the truth is your daddy decided to do drugs and now you were fatherless. And now you didn't have the reassurance that you needed. Those are things that people have that also kind of like when I say I don't want to die empty, those are things that people have within them to give to help others. So that hurt that you may have felt, you're hurting others. Choose to hold on to it. You're hurting me. You're hurting Kyle. Like we need that are going to push us forward, and people possess those things. So if you have something that you're not giving, you're hurting people, and you ultimately hurting yourself because you will get back what you give.
Nah, that part. You hurting yourself. You ain't hurting me. You ain't hurting my Rika. You hurting you.
It's a little
And
bit of both. It's a little bit of both.
I really appreciate that perspective because I was listening to something last night
Mhm.
by Brene Brown,
Oh
Sharp
yeah, I love
Woman.
her.
This, it's interesting. It's my first time ever like knowing who she was. I watched one of her TED Talks.
Really?
I was somebody shared one of her TED Talks, and it said it was. I think it was the title was "Stop Listening to Shame." And in the
Oh
conversation, she broke
yeah.
down essentially the differences between shame and guilt, and how
Mhm.
guilt is essentially I made a mistake, and
Yeah.
shame is saying I am a mistake. And
Mm.
how she explained it was guilt was pretty much us continuing to harp on something that we had done, while shame is this belief or mindset that we
Mm.
are our worst mistake, or we are our breakup,
Ooh.
or those things. And there's these two things are a catalyst to depression and overeating and
Mhm.
suicide and all of these different things. And I think for me, when I hear things like that, I don't want to live in the regret that I had so much to offer to the world, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't want to live with so much regret that I had so much to provide for my children, but I chose my job, or I chose work rather than being able to build healthy or wealthy conversations or relationships with my children or with the people that
Mhm.
truly matter to me.
Yeah.
And for somebody listening in, Myreesha stepped out of the driver's seat of a chair to be able to sit other young ladies down to build them up so that they can build their own platforms.
Yeah.
And if you're somebody listening, this is probably your time. This is hopefully your catalyst. This is your moment to start giving, whether that's time, whether that's talent, whether that's treasure, whether that's joining a board, whether that's helping volunteer, whether that's donating money on a monthly basis to a specific cause. I want you to do it. Myreesha, how can people support your mission? Whether it's through time, whether it's through giving their talent or donating to some of the causes that you guys are implementing.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're always looking for people who have time and skill sets that are necessary to help run the nonprofit. So if you're interested and you have a skill set that you feel like would be valuable, please reach out. You can find us on LinkedIn. I'll give our website a little bit later. Also, if you have, maybe you don't have the time, but you have resources. Resources could be sponsorships. Resources could be just a connection to someone else that may have a set of resources that we could use. Also, there's a way if you directly want to give toward the nonprofit. We have our virtual community, and our goal is to launch this thing sponsoring 100 girls. And the membership is $41 a month. And if you wanted to sponsor a girl for a year, it's $492. So that's one way that you could partner with us in this movement, and just continuing to shift the future, to shift the culture, to shift the mindsets of young people. Literally, it starts one girl at a time. So that's how you can help us. You can find me on LinkedIn at Myreesha Frankllin. We are also on Instagram. It's floss, as for the love of self, FLOS students. And then also our website is flosskc.org. FLOSKC.org. So that's how you can connect with us. And I would love to just talk to you, even if you feel like you don't have anything to give and you have questions and maybe there's something you want to start, reach out. I'd love to connect with you.
You know, it's interesting that you said $41, and I didn't even know that, because I was at Zaxby's today, and I ordered 3 chicken finger plates and some French fries. Literally, that's it. 3 chicken finger plates and some French fries, and it was $41, and I'm just
Are you
like,
serious?
$41, crazy. I was so mad. I was like, I should have just left and just took my kid to like get a sandwich or a Lunchable at the grocery store. And as I think about that, all jokes aside, as I think about it, that $41 could have been given to you. And I hope somebody here is listening to me. There's probably something that you naturally purchase that if you rerouted that money, it can empower a young lady. If you
Mm,
repositioned that investment or that expense, it could now be an investment into the future of another child,
yeah,
of another leader, into the future and changing somebody else's life.
for sure. For sure.
Myreesha, I have a final question for you.
Yes,
We've talked
sir.
a lot about your business, about your story, and we've even uncovered some of the vulnerable moments that you've experienced in your life. What
Yeah.
is one thing that you wish more people knew about you that
Mm.
people don't intentionally take the time to ask?
Ooh, that's good. That they knew about me. I don't know. I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is that I truly care. I truly legitimately care for the people who are around me and that I'm connected to. And I don't know if that's something that people would ask me, but that is something that like that matters to me because for what I'm doing, especially as a founder of a nonprofit, it's easy to get caught up in the campaigns and the logistics and the fundraising and all of the things. But the truth is, if I'm connected, I legitimately care and I want to see it succeed or that person succeed. So that probably wasn't the answer you was looking for, but
It's
that's
all
that's,
good. You know,
that's what I got.
when you first said like I genuinely care, I was like, yo, so people think you don't care? Is that the thing? It's all good. You know, for those who feel like Myreesha doesn't care, I want you to actually take some time to follow her pages, to to invest in her business and to continue to lift up
Oh
another
my
young
God.
lady. Myreesha, tell us again where we can find you and how we can support the mission.
You can find me at LinkedIn at Myreesha Franklin. For the Love of Self, KC. Well, it's flosskc.org, FLOS.kc.org, and then Floss Students on Instagram, FLOS Students on Instagram. So that is where you can find me.
Myreesha, 60 seconds. You have 60 seconds to share a message that would hear every ear would hear it, that every heart would feel it. Somebody gave you a mic on a stage of 50,000 people, young women and parents are in the audience.
Oh
What
my,
would you say?
oh my goodness, that's pressure. Okay. Um, I would say I would say trust yourself. Trust yourself and then trust God. You know what I mean? Like trust yourself and trust God. Whatever it is that you believe, things that you haven't done, trust yourself and then trust God. And it's gonna go down. It's happening.
So you broke up a little bit towards the end. What I
My
heard
60
though,
seconds.
and I want you to give it to us again because you broke up a little bit at the end. Because I know you got 1 gig of Wi-Fi where you are in Kansas City, and it's all good. Um, what I want you to do is I want you to run it back because I feel like there's a message and there's so much power in your voice, especially in the conversations that we've had. I've been impacted, I've been empowered, I've been changed. And now that it's not as pixelated, I think you're ready to get the game.
The shade is so real. Anywho, can you repeat your question?
60
What?
seconds, stage of 50,000 people. What's the message?
Oh, yes. Yes. This is the message, y'all. The message is with God, and you can do anything. Trust yourself and then trust God. You can make it happen. Whatever your dreams are, whatever your aspirations are, trust yourself that you got it. Take a step forward. And then when it gets hard, trust God. You got this. That's my message.
We got all the message this time, people. We got all the it was like trust dot God dot. That's it. And I was like, all right, look, anybody listening
Oh
in,
my
we
gosh.
appreciate you. And I hope that you can laugh with us. I hope that
Yes.
you can take a moment in your life to be able to experience joy. I hope that you can be able to understand the various messages that Myreesha has shared about the importance of you trusting yourself and trusting in something bigger than yourself, the importance of building relationships around you that feed you, the importance of using your voice to be able to transform other people, the importance of using your time, your talent, and your experience to be able to uplift the next generation, the importance
Definitely.
of transferring your wealth from your expenses into being an investment for somebody else's life. One of the questions that we always ask on the Contagious Culture podcast is, what type of culture are you spreading? The energy you
Mhm.
bring is the culture you create. Make yours worth catching. It's another episode of the Contagious Culture podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King. We were back here with Myreesha Frankllin, and we will see you all next episode.